Hey, what's going on, everybody? This your boy C Hess with Motivated Minds. Hey, normally the last couple of videos I've done, normally I'll start off with some type of intro, whether it's music or whatever, but not today. Because I'm just y'all gonna see me hesitating, a little bit because I'm just kind of bothered. I'm kind of troubled about some things that I saw. For those of y'all that have followed me like on the book, you know, y'all notice that I oftentimes say that I don't watch the news, right? Um, and there's a reason for that. When it comes down to the media, the media oftentimes they'll do things to, just generate a story and play off of people's emotions. And it depends on which way that media source swings, left, right, liberal, conservative, is how they're going to report, a story. And the one thing that I try to do with some of the stuff that I talk about, I try to keep it, right down the middle. Don't give an opinion. I try to give facts. So I just kind of choose not to, watch the news. And every now and then I may use the Google machine and go online and look up, the local news to try to see what's going on in my area. I may go to Yahoo just to kind of see what's going on. I may look at CNN or Fox just to see, but I try not to watch the news. But I was in the jungle, and you'll hear me refer to the jungle often. That's work. That's my place of employment. I call it the jungle. But I was in the jungle Wednesday night, and I sat down for a minute and I said, let me see what's going on in the city. What I did was I looked up one of the local news stations, and when I did that, this is what I came across. 4 teenagers charged with second-degree murder in fatal Jacksonville triple shooting. Now this is Wednesday night, the 10th, and when I read that title, I just had this before I even opened up the article, I just had to stop for a minute, and just like, damn, 4 teenagers. Man, what's this all about? So when I opened it up and I began to read, and they displayed the ages of these teenagers that was involved in this, I was blown away. Uh, Matter of fact, let me just show y'all. Hey, watch this.
Tonight, these 4 local teens are behind bars, accused of murder. Police say they're behind a triple shooting that left a mother and 2 men dead at an apartment in Ribault this week.
These are the teens' mugshots. The one on the right here is just 14 years old. Action News Jax is choosing to show them because of the severity of the crime. The pastor I spoke to says seeing 4 kids accused of murder is not only disheartening, but it's frightening. These 4 teenagers are accused in a triple murder in Moncrief Monday. Action News Jax learned a mother and 2 men were shot and killed. The violent crime has stunned the community and Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Director Mike Bruno.
It's shocking and appalling when you see that you've got kids 14, 17, 18 years old out committing crimes like this.
Police say 14-year-old Elena Sears was the getaway driver for Keyshawn Glover and Owen Cosme, both 17 years old, and Keon Lester, who is 18. All 4 are charged with second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit robbery. This is video of Lester making his first appearance in court Wednesday morning, where a judge denied his bond.
One was 18, 2 was 17, and 1 was a 14-year-old girl who happened to be the getaway driver. Now let's think about this for a minute. I know kids commit crimes. I know they do. And we see it constantly. We see it all the time. It doesn't matter what city you're in, especially if you're in a big city. It doesn't matter. Kids do it. But when I say kids are gonna do things to commit crimes, I'm talking these teenagers and stuff. But okay, the 18-year-old. All right, you a grown man, even though you still a child, but society considers you grown. But we talking about 2 17-year-olds who more than likely probably in about the 11th grade. And we talking about a 14-year-old girl who, in the commission of a felony, 3 homicides, 3 murders, she was the getaway driver. And it just made me stop and think, like, what are we doing as a community? You know, and I was saying this earlier that I try to make videos, you know, the videos that I do, you know, I don't sway one way or another. I try not to make it a black thing. I try not to make it a white thing. I try to keep it right down the middle, you know, and see both sides of things or all sides of things. But for this one, you know, this particular one, what I'm talking about right now, when I say what we're doing, I'm speaking directly to the black community. And the reason being is because, hey, I'm a black male. I'm like many of you all. You know, I have black sons. And then there was a 14-year-old girl involved in this. So now there goes our daughters, you know, and I'm saying our because I'm speaking, you know, in terms of the community. So when I say, you know, I'm speaking directly to the black community, what I mean is this affects all of us. It doesn't matter what's your socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter where you live, right? Because this could be any of our children. And I know some people can say, not my son. Nah, never my daughter. Oh, yeah, it could be. I work in a place that people will always say, not their son or their daughter. And guess what? It's their son or their daughter. When stuff like this happens, what we want to do is we want to group everyone together. We want to group all of our kids together and say, these kids this and these kids that. When in fact, it's a small percentage of them. When the majority of our kids, they're brilliant, they're bright minds, and they're doing the right thing. You know, so a lot of them are going, making good grades. A lot of them are going off to college. They're going off to the workforce. They're going off in tech and different branches of service. So I don't want that to be lost when we start talking about the crimes that some of our youth commit, because I salute those out there that's doing right, because I realize, and I know a lot of other people out there realize that those of you who are doing right, you are the majority, not the minority. Regardless of what the news tries to tell us, regardless of what the news may show us, regardless of the stats that they may show, stats can be skewed any way that the statistician wants them to read. So all stats aren't accurate. I just want us to remember, and I just want to salute those kids out there that's doing right. Now that I got all that out of the way, let's really get into this. So we've got 14-year-olds, two 17-year-olds, and 18-year-olds. Now this is what I want y'all to do. I want y'all to look at their faces. Look at them, right? The little girl on the left, she's 14 years old. She is a baby. She's a baby. And then you got these two, you know, two 17-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta ask a question. This happened Monday. This happened Monday. I want to say Monday the 8th. And I didn't actually read it until the 10th. Because like I told you, I really don't watch the news. I'll check online every now and then just to check the local headlines, see what's going on here locally. But this happened around, well, they think it happened maybe around 10 o'clock on Monday. Now, my question is, what in the world is a 14-year-old doing out, driving a car, the getaway car, in a homicide and a robbery at 10 o'clock at night? That's my question. Because I guarantee you somebody out there thinking, where are the parents? Hold that thought for a second. And look at this guy. He's 18. Yep, by law, he is an adult, you know. But look at this dude, man. You know, and yeah, he in jail right now. He in Duval County. He in there with the big boys. But I mean, look at him. And I know some people also thinking, well, he's 18 years old. The other ones, you know, they 17. So they made a decision. There's studies out there now that they're starting to believe, or they're starting to say that the brain, or the critical part of the brain that deals in decision making, does not fully mature until the age of 25. Now, this is not making an excuse for any type of behavior, but those are the studies that's out there, you know. But I'm just saying, man, you got a 14-year-old, two 17-year-olds. Them jokers should have been somewhere in the bed, number one, getting ready for school for the next day. You know, now this joker at 18, he should have been either out of school, or this should be his senior year of school. Now, I don't know, you know, what their background is. There's some more stuff that's coming out and I'll get to that later. Where it talks about their records and all of this stuff. But I mean, 14, man, come on. I have to ask the question: what are we doing as a community? Because I remember when I was growing up, we used to live by this saying, and maybe y'all have heard it. It takes a village to raise a child. So I wonder what happened to the village concept. Y'all know the village concept, right? Where everybody in that neighborhood had a part in raising that child. So, and maybe I'm dating myself, about to give up my age, but you know, I can remember, I can start at the corner, and I can remember. Do any of y'all remember when? You can get a whooping by anybody in the neighborhood. Any of y'all remember that? And I know some of y'all young people like, man, wish person would lay their hands on me. Or I know some of y'all younger parents are just, I wish person would lay their hands on my child. But that's where it used to be. And I can start on the corner and walk it all the way down. I can remember, Miss Inez on the corner. Miss Inez could do what she needed. If we was out there cutting up, hey, she had full permission. Whether it's Miss Inez, whether it was Miss May Francis, whether it was Miss Sue, Mr. E.G. Now what I'm doing is I'm giving shouts out and props to those, matriarchs and patriarchs in my neighborhood, and some of them are still around, right? So even Miss Carrie Mae, Miss Pye, Mr. Cobby, Mr. Allen Jefferson, and don't notice I'm saying Mr. and Mrs., right? All these people, cause there was a lot of women around and there were men around too, right? And I ain't even got to my family yet. I ain't got to my grandmama and my great grandmama, and my aunties and my great aunts. So I'm just saying, what happened to grandmama now? Did all of that go away when grandmama passed away? I'm talking about big mama. Y'all know what I'm talking about, with the swole up ankles. She sit down and on the couch on the recliner. She going to sleep because she tired. We talking about grandmama and them, big mama and them that would raise all the kids while mama and them or daddy and them was at work. You know what I'm saying? When all the cousins was at one spot. What happened? Where did we go wrong? Where? And I'm not saying that these things didn't happen, but 14 and 17? Come on, man. Man, Tyler Perry got rich off of Medea. Somebody out there got a grandmama or a great grandmama that they call Medea. Tyler Perry got rich off of that. And what he did was he ain't did nothing but he was telling a story about some of our grandmamas or some of our great grandmamas or great aunts, right? That's all he did. Because those people like that was around, right? And what I'm saying and what I was saying was you can get whooped all the way home. I'm laughing now, but by the time mama or even daddy, depending on what your situation was, got home, you might have done got 3 whoopings. Because you might have got one from Aunt B, right? Yeah, Aunt B. Uh-huh. You might have got one from her. Then you might have got one from either Mr. Tan or Mr. Moultrie, right? Because you was cutting up. And my favorite, and I never forget her. You might have got one from Miss Powers. Next door, you know what I'm saying? Or when Mr. Powers came home. You see what I'm saying? And then, what might have happened is they told mama, oh, mama gonna tear us up again. So I'm just asking, where did that go? And maybe, just maybe, some of us have started making money and we moved out of those communities in them neighborhoods where we once grew up, and people like to describe it as the hood. Maybe we moved out the hood and we got too good for that, because now mom want to call up. Number one, the kid might call the police on you if you put a hand on them. But then you got these parents that's like, don't touch my child. Now I ain't saying, bust his head to the white meat, because yeah, if my son doing something, and I'm around and you don't know me like that, don't touch him. You know what I'm saying? But we're in the neighborhood. Hey, I'm just saying now, hey, you might tighten them up a little bit. But though that concept is gone now. The nucleus of our communities is gone. And it didn't used to be like that. And what I'm saying, folks, black folk, we need to get back to that. We need to stop getting offended when somebody correct our child. You know what I'm saying? Because in a situation like what we see with these 4 kids, and Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not gonna say where their parents at. The reason why I'm not gonna say where the parents at, because we don't know what the situation is. Because we don't know if mama or daddy and them, was working. Because now in today's time, we got parents that's working 2 or 3 jobs trying to make ends meet, and they doing the best they can to raise their kids. So I'm not gonna be judgmental like that. I'm not gonna get on my high horse and say where the parents was. I don't know. And the crazy part about that is oftentimes we see this with schools sometimes. These schools want to treat kids like they're adults. They don't, a lot of times, especially in high school, they don't want to call the parents. They want to deal with the child. But then when that child get in trouble, the first thing they want to do is what? Call the parents. No, don't call me now, right? When y'all was dealing with him or her all along, y'all didn't want to call me and let me know. But when they get in trouble, the first thing y'all want to do is call me. Or you get some nosy neighbor when I got a son or a daughter or a niece or a nephew or a little cousin that's cutting up, and I'm tightening them jokers up in Walmart, or I come to the school and split their head to the white meat. Not literally. I'm just saying I'm tightening them up at school. You know what some of them administrators want to do, or some of them teachers want to do? What they want to call the police. And and then the police sometimes, depending on who the officer is, y'all want to lock me up for abuse. But no. But then when they get in trouble in a situation like this, what's the first thing people say? Where are the parents? Come on, man. It's kind of a double standard. So the only thing I'm telling y'all as a whole is that we need to get back to the community. We need to stop getting offended. We hear oftentimes a lot of people ask about where are the men? But then when you have a man out there that's trying to mentor, or some of our young boys, some of y'all mamas, what I'm saying, want to and I'm not blaming mothers. Don't get me wrong. Y'all don't jump on me. But I'm just saying, some of y'all want to get offended. Don't talk to my son like that. But which one is it? We can't have it both ways. We can't pick and choose. I want to show y'all this other video that talks about another issue that plagues some of our neighborhoods and some of our communities.
In our community,
this is something that not only destroys individual lives, but it adds so much of a stain and a mark on us as a community.
Pastor Gunn says part of the problem is a lack of resources to reach at-risk youth before it's too late.
I find myself as a pastor in this community broken and discouraged, trying to make a difference.
He talked about resources just a little bit, it's just a little snippet when she said that he cited lack of resources, which is a true statement. And I can't speak for any other city across the country, but I know that we often hear it when people start talking about these inner cities and the lack of resources. So here, that's the north side of Jacksonville. Ride over there. The north side is nothing like it used to be. The north side of Jacksonville, even the east side, it used to be booming. There was all kinds of things over there. But if you go over there now, they pretty much stripped everything from over there. And there is nothing for these kids to do. So what, and I'm not making any excuses, but if you don't give the kids anything to do, what do y'all expect? What y'all think gonna happen? And I'm not gonna get on the systematic things that happens oftentimes in poor, communities or low income communities. We that's a whole nother video. We're not gonna talk about how you strip all the resources out there and you move all the stuff out, but yet what is allowed to go over there are the liquor stores and those gaming/gambling spots. And shout out to my daddy and some of the other local pastors that had those places shut down over on the north side of Jacksonville. But we're talking about resources. Pastor Gunn was talking about resources. And oftentimes what you'll hear are the words underserved community and lack of resources. And it's true. If you ride on the north side, even on the east side, you don't have a lot of grocery stores over there. You may be limited in healthcare, right? Or healthcare providers, in some of these poor neighborhoods. But I guarantee you what you will find is a Dollar General and a Chinese restaurant, right? As a matter of fact, in a lot of poor communities, neighborhoods across this country, especially, black neighborhoods and communities, what you'll find is a Dollar General, Chinese restaurants, and a bunch of churches. Baptist churches, Pentecostal churches, and churches chicken. Yeah, he has a point. I'm playing, but not really. Because it's true, a lot of these, poor communities, they do lack resources. But listen, man, it's not an excuse, right? It's really not, because we talking about four teenagers, and three bodies, and when you add it all up, honestly, that's 7 lives that are lost, because we have the three deceased, and then you have these four teenagers. They lost their lives too, because their lives is about to be gone into the system. I can go on and on, about this situation and trying to figure out what happened, who's to blame. But at the end of the day, people talk about resources, and we can bring back all the services over, in some of these areas. We can pump all the money and resources into it. But none of that won't matter if the community does not get involved. And what we have to do is we have to get back to the village concept. I mean, it's crucial, because I think about, when I was growing up, and I think about, and I understand times change. I got it. But I think about when I was growing up, and I think of my parents, and I think about my grandparents, and I think about the black community. That's what we were. We were a village. We were a family, and the community took care of each other. We have these conversations sometimes about what happened. How do we get away from that? It takes a village to raise a child. How do we get away from that concept? My personal belief is that some of us started making more money. A lot of us who grew up poor ended up making more money than our parents did. And what a lot of people started doing was moving out of the neighborhoods that they grew up, what we call the hood. And when people moved, they didn't go back. And a lot of people don't give back. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who don't give back, because we have a lot of people and we have a lot of organizations that are doing great things. As a matter of fact, there's this young lady by the name of Kenyatta Hogan. And, she has a nonprofit organization, and she is really doing her thing, so, and I'm gonna tell you, keep doing your thing, because I know you got some people that are rooting for you, and, we got your back, and then we got like my boy, Gerald Jefferson. Gerald started teaching, down in Clay County. Gerald started teaching, boxing to the kids, and he was doing it on his own dime. And then he, my boy Jarvis, Jarvis was helping him, I say empowerment where? Jarvis, keep doing your thing, bro, with the shirts and stuff, man. So those are two black men giving back, and then we have a lot of sororities, fraternities, some of our motorcycle clubs. One that comes to mind is the Night Gliders, and they do a lot, backpack drives and food drives. They do all kinds of stuff, so, and we have some of our churches, some, not all, but, some are really giving back. So, I salute, those who are doing it, and I'm just saying more people need to get involved. We need to continue, and we need to keep, wrapping their arms around these kids and get into these communities and get into our streets. And I failed to mention, Mad Dads, man, I love y'all. I really love y'all. When we see a lot of the murders that happen, in Jacksonville, you hear people talk about Black Lives Matter, when it's the police, but when it's somebody that look like us, it's not a lot said. But the folks at Mad Dads, hey man, y'all are really doing y'all thing. And, I know I personally appreciate y'all for that. At the end of the day, the fact is that we have 3 individuals who lost their lives. And what I'm not going to do is, I don't want to re-victimize the victims, out of respect for them and their families. And at the same time, we also have 4 teenagers. And I'm not making any excuse, for their actions, because they're going to have to deal with the consequences of their actions. But, we got 4 teenagers that, even though They didn't lose their lives, in the physical sense. They're still on this earth, but at the end of the day, they're gonna lose their lives because they getting ready to get caught up in the system. But one more thing I want to point out. Have y'all ever noticed when things happen like this? Especially, in black neighborhoods, what we often find is that the news or the media as a whole, what they'll do is they'll focus on the crime, but they never focus on achievements, or we'll hear very little about achievements. What do you mean? What I mean by that is this. Okay, so let's take this case. Okay, you had 4 teenagers, and they murdered 3 people. But what the media will never tell you, or what the news won't tell you, is when you have 4 teenagers, especially let's say 4 black teenagers, right? What they won't tell you is you got 4 black teenagers over at Rains High School, 4 black teenagers, in Ribault High School or Lee High School or Andrew Jackson High School, or pick the high school in one of the poor communities. They'll never tell you about the achievement that they are on the National Honor Society. They'll never tell you that you got 4 of these kids that they're on scholarship or earn scholarships to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Howard, FAMU, or pick the school, right? You'll never hear that. What you'll hear is about some child prodigy, that is doing country music or pop music. He's 11 years old. But what they won't tell you about is if you go down to Abyssinia Baptist Church, or if you pick the church, pick the church in one of these communities, right? Pick it. They won't tell you about this 6-year-old little Kiki, you know what I'm saying? Or they won't tell you about the little kid that we call Mookie. They won't tell you that this kid can sing like Whitney Houston or one of the members of Boyz II Men. Or they'll show you that feel-good story on the news about Ken or Aiden, about Ariel or Charlotte. Those kids that are, geniuses at age 5. But what they won't show you is Rashad or Qshawn or little Alizé or little Quisha, all spelled with hyphens, of course, that are also geniuses. The only difference is they from the inner city. They won't tell you that. They never tell you about the achievement of some of these black kids. They always tell you about the crime. So the only thing I'm saying is we need to get back to the village concept, because what are we going to do to prevent a situation like this, 3 more people getting murdered, or even one person, being murdered by not only teenagers, but by anybody? What are we going to do to prevent that? And I'm just saying we need to get back to the village concept, because truly it takes a village to raise a child. This is your boy C. Hess, and I just want y'all to think about it.